What's going on, everybody? This is Hatchett. This video blog is about the family that I created called 300 and where it came from. When I first started coaching around 6 years ago, I knew that it was important for me to change the philosophy and mentality of the young men and women who I was coaching. A lot of coaches who coach kids from the inner city allow them to feel they don't take ownership of anything. So if they lose, it's the coach's fault. The referee was cheating, or, things like that. And I didn't want my kids to have that kind of a mentality. I wanted them to understand that being from Hartford, Connecticut, which is small, most times when you go head to head with other people from other states or other areas, they're going to have a lot more advantages. You have to create an advantage in your mind and really believe it. So around the same time that I started coaching, I saw a movie called 300, and I'm the type that is a lover of information, so I did research on what 300 was. And the real 300 were a group of Spartan soldiers who were like war guides. These men had been trained to be the best soldiers possible. And at that time, there was a Persian army who was going around and conquering all the different countries and lands. So the Persian army outnumbered the Spartans by the hundred thousands. However, they weren't soldiers in the same light as the Spartans were. Now, there's a scene in that movie where there's a group of Athenians, which is another country, and they wanted to help the 300 Spartans, and they showed up with about 1,000 soldiers. And the leader, the general of the Athenians, says to the general of the 300, he says, well, I thought that, you guys were serious about winning this battle, and I thought at least you guys would match our own intensity and, show up with more than just 300 soldiers. And the leader of 300 tells him, you showed up with a bunch of blacksmiths and farmers and hunters, but not soldiers. Every dude I got with me is a soldier. Now, this mentality related to what we were doing, because us being from Hartford, Connecticut again, we were always going to be the smaller team in the tournaments, always going to be going against, this guy who's supposed to be ranked from Philly or from Jersey or from Florida or from Texas. And we had to have that same mentality. Because at that time, I didn't know much about AAU. I was just getting involved in it. And, we were raggedy as far as having different color shorts and T-shirts, or, just made up uniforms that parents were throwing together and stuff like that. So we were playing against these Nike-sponsored teams, Adidas-sponsored teams, where they showing up with matching bags, sneakers, socks, headbands, all that kind of stuff. So that could be very intimidating. But what we always knew was, the socks and headbands aren't going to win the game for you. Do you have basketball players underneath those socks, underneath those uniforms, underneath those book bags? And more times than not, the answer was no. We showed up with more basketball players than the other team, with a different type of soldier. So that's where the 300 came in, and it grew into a beautiful thing because the kids took it to another level. They became the embodiment of the 300 Spartans, and they wanted to showcase the fact that they were better trained, they were skilled. I had kids buying into the whole thought process that if I work harder than the kids I play against, it doesn't matter how good they are, we're going to win. So I had kids volunteering to wake up and come to practices at 5 a.m. before they went to school. I'm talking about 9, 10-year-old kids who I dedicated to waking up at 5 in the morning to come do a basketball practice before school. So they took on the thought process of better trained athletes, better trained basketball players will defeat talented or well-dressed or well-groomed or well-sponsored teams. This is what happened with the 300. And through that beautiful way of thinking spawned super duper basketball players, players that were able to exceed whatever goals I set for them. I mean, we have been in tournaments where we were not supposed to come out of our pool, and we won the pool impressively. We played against a team that was ranked like number 3 in the country, and we beat them by mercy rule, which means that they stopped the game because we were beating them so bad, and we were not supposed to be the team to win any games. We basically was a team that they thought they was just going to take the entry fee from, and we just play our 2 games and go home. But that didn't work, and that mentality has been working for us ever since. I'm very proud to have thought about it and put the kids in that situation. And now I see that the 300 family, or the 300 mentality, has legs. It is growing. The kids are now entering high school. Some are still in middle school, but they're branching out, doing different things, but they all take the same mentality. I can't tell you how many times we played against a team and the parents on the other team are coming up to me after the game saying, listen, I love the way you coach your kids. I love the way your kids are prepared and how they play, and I want my son to be involved with that, because real soldiers recognize when somebody else is well trained, and they want, if they have the opportunity, they want their child or their soldier to be a part of that training, not to hate on it or to try and say, well, the reason why they win is because they got all the best players or whatever have you. The players that I had, I went with what was within arm's reach. The core of the 300 were kids who all lived within walking distance of the gym that I worked at. And it did spread. Like I said, we got a lot of converts who came over from other programs because of how excellent our program was ran, but that came later. The core of those kids came from a group of about 7 or 8 who dedicated themselves to me and to the philosophy from day one. And the moral of all of this is kids in our communities, for us who deal with kids who come from impoverished areas and not necessarily middle of the road upbringing and no father in the household or broken families, they still need to be held accountable, and they can still achieve if you set the bar high for them. If you allow them to believe that it's okay to cheat, it's okay to blame your losses or your shortcomings on someone else, it's okay not to be accountable, then they'll take that with them and as they go on, and they'll end up never being held accountable until they put handcuffs on them. That's what usually happens. And I knew that something that may seem small to others was really that big. It was really that important for me to get those kids to believe that it don't matter who's on the other team, what names are on the other team, what sponsorship the other team has. The only thing that matters is, do they have more basketball players than us? And are the basketball players that they brought, are they better trained? Are they willing to go the extra mile like we are? Are they going to die for that ball? Are they going to play that pressure defense in the fourth quarter when they're tired? Are they going to hustle for that long rebound? Those type of things. Those are the type of plays that anybody who's played against us knows that we come up with those plays. Not sometimes, all the time. And that's because of that 300 mentality that was bred and fostered by myself and some very talented coaches who were with me and parents who supported me and very talented kids who believed in the philosophy. That's where 300 comes from. This is your boy Hatchett signing off. Peace.